Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Feminine Force with Caroline and Lisa. So thank you for joining us tonight with the core of the feminine force. And tonight I thought that I might ask Carolyn about the power of love and how she sees that in her life and in the world.
Oh, thanks, Lisa. Hi, everyone. So lovely to be here with you again. And yeah, what a brilliant topic to talk about. And yeah, like it's amazing, I suppose, to think about that in a deeper way, because we've heard that in songs and we've heard it, over and over again. But to really try and go into that topic deeply to understand really what does that mean in our lives. And I feel like the feminine force is really, that's what that is, the power of love and the power of connection and the power of what that force is and the power that that can have in our lives, not just when we use it as a word, but as a force, as an energy. And like we all know, how love unites. And I think for me, I think there's two forces in the world. Like one is love and one is fear. And we've heard that over and over again as well. But the truth of it is, that is love. What does love do? Love is always trying to pull together. It's always trying to bring people together, trying to bring people unite, and what the other force is trying to separate and trying to pull people apart and destroy and destruct. Destruction is always pulling countries apart, pulling families apart, pulling relationships apart. It's like that. I have a poem called Torn, and it's like this ripping sensation, and it's what kind of breaks, it feels that we're kind of broken down from. But then the restoration is always in kind of coming back. So when we're talking in relationships, that's the healing force. The healing force is how we can come back after when, there's been kind of maybe, something that's being torn in us in our relationships, or even with our daughter or whatever. It is very painful when there is kind of a destructive, I suppose, conflicts in relationships, and we can feel kind of torn apart from our loved ones, and it hurts so much when that happens, because we are, it's going against what's natural. What's natural is that loving connection, and that's who we are and what we are in our truth. So when we can't reconcile relationships, and if we are, I suppose, maybe, being like we've all been there, like stubborn and sticking to our mindset that we just can't see beyond, and we can't connect and have this beautiful open relationships where we can see the other person's point of view and also hold our own, and that there's not good and bad. There's this beautiful unity of experience, that I can include your experience alongside my experience. And there's no right or wrong. It's just two different points of view. But when we can kind of have that type of an approach in relationships and in relating, that has the ability to heal that torn aspects, and it can reconcile relationships that are really, I know, the fundamental to how we feel about ourselves and how we feel in the world, So it's really an art to it, because unconditional love is the most powerful thing on this earth. If you can kind of transmute your pain into power, into, when you've loved somebody so much and then they've maybe done something that you find so unbelievably difficult to forgive, that causes that tear and that rip. But if you can find it within yourself to have that understanding and that compassion and that unconditional love, that no matter what happens, that can be healed, then it becomes like a superpower in your life. If you've done that once, you can do it again and again, and it actually expands your mind and your awareness, because it opens up your awareness to seeing the truth of relationships, and this how we are all, nobody's perfect, nobody's right, nobody's, we're all learning, we're all on that journey, no matter what age we are, our teens or, adults, like we're all emerging, and what emerges in that moment, like we talk about, like, is so important. And the power of that loving connection is really the most transformative thing that you can use in your life, yeah.
That's so true. Thanks for joining us. Adam's just commented too and said that he loves this topic, which is good. It's a lovely topic to love, and loving yourself is amazing. And that actually, Adam, I was just about to say a similar thing, because I remember in relationships where if you used to have an argument, and then you felt so upset that something was said to you, and you withdraw, like you feel like you withdraw, and you withdraw from them. But actually what you're doing is you're withdrawing from the love. And we think that we're withdrawing from them because we're hurt. But what's actually causing us the pain is that we are withdrawing from the love. That's what is causing us the real pain, because we are all love. And so when we withdraw from the love, we feel it, and we then project that onto them. And it's like, it's because of them I feel this pain. It's because of what they've done. It's because of what's happening here. But actually, before any of that happened, I withdrew the love.
Yes. Yeah.
And that is where the suffering begins.
Yeah.
And the love, talking about that, it's so true, Caroline. I've done some incredible things in my life when I've been able to step in that place of love, like faced things that were very fearful, but to be able to stand in that place of love. And it's a tangible feeling. It isn't just the words. When we say the power of love, the power of love, you can think it's just a saying. It is not just a saying. It is a tangible force that you can use. And the way to use it is to deal with your emotional reactions, because it's that emotional understanding. When I can step out of my emotional reaction and I understand myself emotionally, I can maintain the connection of love no matter what's happening with that person. So they can be saying something to me, and I don't necessarily need to withdraw the love and go off and be hurt. If I can keep the connection going and we can keep talking about it, and I've already dealt with my emotional, like I know myself well enough that I can stand in my power, and so I can keep that space, then you are creating something that very tangibly has the power to transform this moment and the relationship that you have. You're creating a better version of your relationship. You're creating a better version of you. And that is really unconditional love. And that comes when we've done our work, and we don't need that person to be anything other than what they are right now.
Yeah,
because we're okay in ourselves.
Yeah, and it's been a little bit like what we were talking about from the last talk. We were talking about the shields and putting up the armory and everything like that, because that's what we do when we're hurt. We go back into ourselves, and then we try to, like you say, withdraw the love, and then we put up these shields all around ourselves. What we're doing, we're isolating ourselves when we do that. Become this like isolated being, that can't receive love then and can't give it out because we're protected. So it takes work to, like that, to kind of, how can you stay open and in difficulty, in conflict, how can you stay in that space of unconditional love when we're in conflict? There's a real mastery to that, and that's what the motion, what your book teaches, really, I think, as well. How we stay connected and in love, in the presence of love, in conflict, in difficult situations, in and not move into reaction and fear and judgment and into, kind of blaming the other person, or trying to fix the other person, or trying to control the other person, or try to control their emotions and control your own emotions. How can we be present in that emerging process where it's just let you feel what's happening and the other person express what's happening, or vice versa in the moment? And that's a really massive power of transformation for both of you. So the power of love is
And
tangible. It's something, the felt experience. It's an experiential thing, isn't it? It's not.
It's so true. And I think actually, I think sometimes that the word love has been corrupted in a way. Like, we use the word love all the time, love this, love that, but actually I only love you if you put the toilet seat down. I only love you if we end up having all of these conditions around it. And even with our children, like if our children are being misbehaving, or they're doing something that really clashes with our values, are you able to be there with them and guide them without withdrawing the love? Because as a parent, I recognized that with my older children, I wasn't conscious of it, but I would withdraw the love, not deliberately, but because they were doing something that, I perceived was not good. So you sort of withdraw the love, and you don't mean to, but you do, and so I thought I was unconditionally loving, but I actually really wasn't. I was loving as long as, they were doing certain things. I always loved them, but there was this energetic. Okay, so the concept of love was different to the energy of love, which is what they would have felt from me coming and going at times, and that coming and going is what makes people feel emotionally unsafe or emotionally safe. So if I can hold the love for my child all the time, then they feel emotionally safe. It's an emotionally safe haven, and they can turn up. They trust me to know that I'm not going to react. They trust me that whatever they bring to my plate, I can sit and actually hear and help them work through. I may not like it, but they always feel the love. And that's that. Getting to that place, I think for me, it's been about understanding what's being activated in me. So often when my kids showed up as something that I didn't want them to be, it was my not good enough that was being activated. And because I felt not good enough as a mum, or I was frightened of what, thinking, oh my God, I'm going to stuff up these kids if I don't do something, or whatever other belief I had that was activated in that moment, I had to become very aware of that, so that none of this stuff that was going on in me unconsciously was projected onto my child, so that I could just stay in this moment, this emerging moment. And that is the key, really, Carolyn, isn't it? It's like, if you want to be able to stay in the love with the people that you love in conflict, it's keep telling yourself, oh, I'm in an emerging process now. We're in an emerging process. This is an opportunity for us to actually feel more empowered, to feel more connected. This is an opportunity. And as soon as you start telling your mind that, you step out of that reaction space. So you can stay into this, you're leaning into it, and you're leaning into this emerging process. And so the love can start building from there, and you can start looking for new ways to connect and to create harmony in those conflict situations.
Yeah, it's so true. And it's funny with children as well, because they feel you feel your presence. It's not your words, it's not, they pick up on all of that, your energy, how you feel around them, how like that. We all love to be with people that make us feel good. The presence of somebody who's just like puts you at ease, that you're in their presence. They don't even need to, it's not their words as such, it's how they are, how they just move around, how they talk to people, where you're safe, and where you're not safe. And I think children are so keen on that. They'll run up to people who they feel comfortable with, and they'll hide away and shy away from people they don't. It's something that's innate in them as a survival mechanism as such, And I think when you kind of become aware of that in yourself, I think really the key to it for me is being present within yourself. So when you're connected to your own truth and into your own center, that's where, you know, you're in love. Then you're in love, because that's the truth of life, is that presence of love, the presence of the loving sun, as I always say. And when you're there, you don't need to control. You don't need, that is the unconditional love, you know, you don't need to control them. So the key for me is always come back to your center, come back to that place that you don't need anything from anyone else. You don't need them to behave a certain way. You don't need them to achieve certain things for you to feel good, because you naturally are at home in yourself, you know, and then they can be at home around you. And then the conflict actually doesn't arise as much then, because there's no conditions for the love to be taken away, you know, the kind of way. So that's kind of, it's a natural, it's how easy relationships, I suppose, arise from, you know, that presence of unconditional love.
It's very free, isn't it? Like, I think that's one of the biggest things that I've felt, is the lightness of being that you have. The more that you start to move these emotional behaviors and strategies that you've developed over the years that don't serve you, that get in the way of love, that when you let go of those little power plays, or those, you know, having to make somebody wrong or blame someone, or the resentment, like when you can let go of all of those things, those little power plays, the things that, you know, you develop to give yourself a sense of feeling okay, and get rid of all the false shit, which really doesn't have a long-term hope of helping you feel okay. It's just feeling okay in this moment, and then you feel shit. Get rid of all of that, and then you just coming back to sit to yourself, coming back to that love, and being in that space of you, and actually really dedicating yourself to being yourself. You know, like in a relationship, being yourself, you know, like so many women I talk to, they're like, I don't even remember the last time I was myself. I was always being what I thought I needed to be, or, you know, I was doing these things that I needed to do. And it's like, I've forgotten who myself is, and really, 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 really developing that, like really uncovering that again, revealing it again. Because when you are so free with yourself, then you can let everybody else be free with themselves, and people love to be around that.
Oh, absolutely. I was just thinking
Don't
that.
they just go, they just go, oh, it doesn't matter if I'm running late, because Lisa's just, you know, she's really cool with herself, so she's going to be really cool with me being me. I'll just let her know I'm running late, you know. And that these people that can be themselves give everybody else a sense of freedom. You know, if you've got friends like that, I've got friends like that, and it's just so nice. I know that I don't have to, you know, not that I'm get that concerned about things anymore, but, you know, back then it was like I knew these people were the people that you could just say, if it didn't work, it didn't work. They weren't going to give you a hard time. They were just going to go, okay, it's cool.
Yeah, exactly. And so, you're giving them permission to be themselves as well, if you're being yourself. Yeah, absolutely. I get that. Actually, I think of my dad, and I think of you saying that, because he was always himself, no matter what, you know, and but it just all the flavors that he showed up in it, you know. So, but it was so refreshing, you know, because you always just felt like you could be yourself around him, you know. Yeah, so it has an amazing effect, you know.
It's
just
so funny, isn't it?
Yeah,
He was always himself, no matter what. And like, isn't it funny? It's like the hardest thing for us to be is ourselves, you know, like, and how absolutely crazy is that?
Yeah, I know. So that's
where the love is, though. That's where the love is.
That's it. That's brilliant. Thanks, Lisa.
Yeah, thank you, Caroline. So that's our conversation for this evening.
Yeah.
Thank you all for joining us tonight. And if you have anything that you'd like us to talk about, like if you've got a question, we'd love you to fling it to us on an email or message us on social media. That would be awesome. And we'll be here on Wednesday night talking to Sezwing Vitolt about meaningful purpose and busy lives, and how we can actually merge the two if we can.
Wow, looking forward to that. That sounds amazing. Tune in for that, guys. Wednesday. And thank you so much, Adam, for watching, and your comments, and people, all the love hearts and thumbs up again. And we love your company here, and we'll see you back here on Wednesday. Thanks, Lisa.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone. Thanks, Caroline.